think we'll probably get started. Good morning, everyone. My name's Joe Sadler. I'm the head of growth here at EBC Global, and today's session is about kind of reduce DBS submissions errors by simplifying the ID checking process. We're going to really kind of be discussing around our new high ID product and ultimately kind of what pain that solves, and based on guidance given from the DBS, how you can make improvements. So what's on today? Actually, I should mention before we do crack in, if anyone does have any questions throughout, feel free to ask them on the chat. There will be a couple of polls throughout as well, so if you could give your answers, that'd be amazing. And yeah, we will get through as many questions as possible. We've got quite a lot of people on this session today, but yeah, just want to make sure that if you do have any questions, we will come back to you as well directly after the session. So on today's session, what has changed in DBS identity checking requirements, where the traditional manual processes are slowing teams down, how to reduce submission errors and improve accuracy, how to deliver faster and more consistent candidate experience. Unfortunately, we won't be doing a live demo, but there will be an opportunity for you to book a live demo with Josh and myself post this conversation regarding our live DBS High ID demo, and then there'll be a session of Q&A at the end. So I want to kick off today's session by just asking a quick question. A poll should pop up on the screen any moment. So what causes delays in your background screening process? Is it chasing candidate information? Is it manual admin and rekeying? Is it multiple systems not connected? Or is it waiting on checks/providers? Or if there is no answer, feel free to skip the question. You should be able to see that on your screen. Okay, so just a bit of an introduction to EBC. So we are directly integrated with UK governing bodies, providing fast and highly compliance regulated checks via the DBS, Disclosure Scotland, have done for the last 8 years and regularly audited by the DBS. We're integrated with the DVLA and Home Office. We use UK DIATAF certified identity verification technology, and we sit on the panel of the BHI, so the Better Hiring Institution, where we are regularly advising in Parliament and giving kind of our advice on technology improvements to make sure that we are making improvements to the kind of safer hiring within businesses. So a bit of background on our solution, our EBC Pro and API. So we have integrated checks directly within our platform. So right to work, identity verification, DBS basic, standard and enhanced, GSAT, credit, international sanctions, social media, DVLA, international criminal, Disclosure Scotland and employment history verification. We do offer thousands of background checks across hundreds of countries and territories by request. But yes, if anyone does have any weird and wonderful background screening check requirements, do feel free to reach out and we can let you know how we can help. So the main reason why we're here today, so there was an update within the DBS identity checking guidance now in effect, and has been since the 22nd of April 2025. So essentially, registered bodies and employers are strongly encouraged to consider using digital ID verification. The shift really isn't just about speed, it is purely around reducing risk, strengthening safeguarding and insurance compliance is built into recruitment from the very start. So ensuring that that kind of right to work and ID verification is a digital journey. There's multiple reasons as to why this is making improvements. A lot of bodies out there are also advising on moving to digital, and we're going to kind of talk about a few of those risks today. So the good practice guidance, it advises on how to improve and verify someone's identity, and there's 4 levels of confidence. And our high ID solution, our DBS high ID solution, provides the highest level of confidence scores, and medium confidence for basic, but ultimately confidence levels are assessed against document strength, validity, activity history, identity fraud risk and verification. And these combine to form DBS recognised confidence scores. Higher confidence means lower fraud risk and greater assurance that candidates are genuine. So the main reason why we're making a big push on our high ID products is because there's many risks of manual ID checks. For example, it's grossly inefficient. Face-to-face meetings, you could be meeting with a criminal. Human error, missing a candidate's criminal records, business operations exposed to the wrong one, failing to protect vulnerable persons and the public, particularly around kind of the education sector, the care sector, etc. Ultimately, I could talk about many horror stories that are out there, even the most recent, obviously, screening error within our own government. But ultimately, manual background checking processes do introduce those, those risks. And there are just so many kind of exposed stories out there. I don't need to run through them all. But ultimately, this is why it's important to kind of automate as much as possible and to use kind of digital verification checks, etc. So should have another poll popping up on the screen. So how confident are you that your current process meets DBS ID checking requirements? So options are very confident, somewhat confident, neutral, not confident. Give me a few moments to answer. So the main reason we are here today is to kind of really discuss our DBS high ID process. So for those that aren't aware, we have a 5 combined automated check journey. For basics, it does not include international sanctions and PEPs. However, this is a fully automated journey. So what happens is you'll be able to send a form out to your candidate. It would be instant consent from the candidate, live selfie, and then capturing the identity documentation. Instantly, we'll push through the right to work and ID verification, the address and mortality, and if it is an enhanced or standard, international sanctions and PEPs, which then ultimately return those results. So that's 5 combined automated checks in one for those enhanced level checks and standard, but then basic doesn't include international sanctions and PEPs. So we really like to push the fact that it does save a lot of time with compliance automations at a click of a button. Our results are rapid at the moment. However, we never really see them go beyond 13 days. And there is only kind of one manual step in the process typically, which is you sending that form to that candidate. That form is then sent out, those results come back in, you then push those through. So it's a kind of a fully automated journey. Now, if you think about a manual process, there's lots of steps where human involvement is needed, from ID check-in through to processing through multiple platforms, etc. But we are lowering that turnaround period. In fact, I just had a conversation with someone on Friday with regards to their process. Sometimes could take, even 2 weeks for a basic check as well as ID and right to work. And that's purely based on the fact that there's just too many manual steps, delays internally because they had other things that they needed to do, which ultimately was delaying the hiring. So I do have a question for you all. How long does it typically take to complete your pre-DBS checks? Options are same day, 1 to 2 days, 3 to 5 days, or longer than 5 days. Now, this is a very recent stat, as I think we took this last week, actually. So we had 5 key checks returned in 23 minutes, and this was through our high ID. Now, just to mention, this client did include credit and DVLA as well, but 23 minutes to return all of these checks. The basic DBS was returned within 18, a digital right to work, an ID verification check within 23 minutes, sanctions, international sanctions, 1 minute, credit, 1 minute, DVLA, 6 minutes. So interesting to see some of those results come through. And probably the highlight for a lot of people is to make sure that they're audit ready. Ultimately, where we are directly integrated with the DBS and we ultimately push through multiple checks, we're able to provide a final vetting report, which includes screenshots of their identity, their screenshot of their selfie, their sanctions, their PEPs, their DBS certificate. We can have that all compiled into one report, which is audit ready. The good news is for those who are recruitment companies, and I know a few of you that I've spoken to recently, the good thing about this is if you're doing this on behalf of your customer, for example, you're able to obviously download those reports after they're complete and then send them over to your clients, giving them that reassurance so they can also keep that on file their side. So the benefits of enhanced standard or basic DBS High ID, it's simple, it's user-friendly candidate experience. It confirms the identity and the UK right to work eligibility. It protects against document frauds, and I know there's been a lot of conversation around deep fakes. So where our identity verification technology obviously is meeting the highest level of confidence, we are doing multiple checks within that high ID process. So ultimately it should flag those fraud documents, fake IDs, and ultimately we'll be able to pick that up from multiple checks that we're doing. It's 100% digital and paperless. It can be completed anytime and anywhere. It's fully compliant to the DBS ID verification guidelines, fully automated end-to-end process, which eliminates that human error. And obviously, as mentioned at the start, we use Home Office approved IDVT technology for those ID verification checks. So I just want to summarize, whether it's enhanced standard or basic DBS High ID, it's fully compliant with DBS ID checking guidelines, direct integration with the DBS, as we are an RO and an RB, for more faster, more efficient DBS processing, stronger protection against fraud and identity risk, fully automated end-to-end process, future-proof with digital ID verification, and compliant right to work verification aligned with Home Office requirements. So if you would like to review your DBS process review, if you're an existing client, you can book with Josh. That barcode should link through to Josh's calendar. And during this kind of review process, we'll be talking, we'll be running through your existing process, identify where delays and errors are happening, and see how we can really simplify that with a high ID journey. If you are new to EBC and you're only just finding out about us, you can book in with us, book in with myself directly by scanning the barcode, or alternatively, if you want to drop me an email with any questions, it's joe@ebcglobal.co.uk. So I just want to open up to questions if anyone has any. Just go to the chat. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to share them on the chat. Quite a bunch today. I think last time Matt had probably about 14 questions before we even got to the end of the presentation. So has anyone got any questions with regards to, other checks perhaps that they might want to also include within the process? It might be even the reference inside of the journey as well. Anybody's got any questions? Okay, looks like no one's got any questions. Okay, guys, well, if you do, any questions come to mind. Oh, hang on. Once the staff has uploaded documents, do employer need to check the ID documents and add that manually for DBS check? Once the staff has uploaded ID documentation. So although you're doing the digital ID verification journey, it is recommended in some industries that you would still then manually confirm that you have checked. There is a box that you can tick within the journey on our side of the platform. But ultimately, hopefully that answers your question. But on that final veteran report, you will see the copy of their identity verification, all of the checks that they've passed, their selfie on there as well. So ultimately, you can sanity check that at that time once it's processed. So hopefully that answers your question. Is there additional costs to the high ID, or is it just streamlining it? So ultimately, to answer your question, Elizabeth, I'm guessing you're an existing client, possibly. If you are, I would suggest that we probably get some time in to discuss that. Ultimately, it's an automated journey. It should improve your current costs, I would hope. That being said, I probably would need to speak with you and Josh in a bit more detail. So feel free to book some time in with us. When the documents fail, do we have to see proof of address in person? Interesting question. When the documents fail, do we have to see the proof of address in person? Yes, so it'll be a manual verification process at that stage. That being said, the identity documentation, we rarely get many failures in our identity documentation check. But if it's address verification, then yes, there needs to be a manual intervention. I'm just checking that. Yeah, that is correct. Does anyone else have any other questions? Doesn't look like there is any more. Okay. If you do pop up with any more questions, feel free to get in touch directly. Like I say, if you'd like to, discuss it in more detail, the costs, or even actually see it happening on our system live, in our test demo account, that is, then we'll happily arrange a time with you. But thank you very much for all your time today. Feel free to share the pre-recorded link, and you also should be receiving an email from myself, which will allow you to book in directly off the back of the email. But appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you.